Yahweh, Brakata Yahushai, Brakata Yahweh, Brakata Yahushai, Brakata Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, Bashim Kakadash Brakata. Right, Yahweh meaning the name of Heavenly Father. Yahweh means He to be, He exists. Bahasham in the name. Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly calls the Lord and Jesus Christ. His name is Yahweh Shai. He deliverer, He savior. Israel is going to need a deliverer and a savior here in these last days from the onslaught of the devil, East one Edom, and the other confederate heathen nations that are about to what? Put a mark, charagma on the men of the Lord, men, women, and children of the Lord. All right. So this lesson, real quick, we're gonna paint that picture of the transgression that Esau is about to do or attempt to do. Right? Because not all Israel is gonna be marked. Not all Israel is gonna be destroyed. Right? Because by taking that charagma, you're surely gonna be destroyed by the Most High. Right? One way or the other. Right, because the plagues that are sent, they were sent by Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, right? And the scourges that are they were sent as scourges, right? And the scripture say for all these, they will not make amends. They will not make amends because they don't know who is scourging them. Yahweh Hashem Yahushai is scourging the people, 2/3 of Israel and these heathen nations, right? This is I'm reading out of the Josephus. It's page 61 in the Jewish Antiquities, book number 1, chapter number 8, right? That when there was a famine in Canaan, Abram went from there into Egypt, and after he had continued there a while, he returned back again, right? So there was famine, right? Which we anticipate famine. It's inevitable, right? That's one of the things that Esau he has it underneath the umbrella of climate change is an effect of climate change, right? But it's not climate change, is that the Lord withholding the good of the land because of the abominations that is done on the land. All right, so famine and pestilence and plague, these are all things that are prepared here in these last days, where the scripture says measured all the time diligently within itself. For it is the time when the highest will begin to visit the world which He made. Alright, so these are the signs: famine, economic collapses, pestilence, famine. This is Wisdom of Solomon 16 and verse 18. The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the powers shall stand in fear. The beginning of evils, what shall I do when these evils shall come? Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. But for all these things, they would not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. Yeah, because Yahweh Hashem Yahushai is the one that is scourging, right? But 2/3 of Israel, they don't mind. They don't consider, right? They don't have it in consideration that these were scourges sent by Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, right? They were sent by Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. This is Wisdom of Solomon 16 and 6. But they were troubled for a small season, that they might be admonished, having a sign of salvation, to put them in remembrance of the commandments of the law. You see, they don't consider these things. Yahweh Hashem Yahushai is the one who is admonishing. These strange rays, you have earthquakes, you have hails, you have volcanoes erupting, right? All these things. This is the conversation of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. This is the Lord saying what? I'm visiting you, right? I'm visiting you. This is Alright, let me get to the Josephus again. It says, Josephus chapter 8 verse 1. Now after this, when famine had invaded the land of Canaan, and Abram had discovered that the Egyptians were in a flourishing condition, he was disposed to go down to them, both to partake of the plenty and they enjoyed, and to become an auditor of their priests, and to know what they said concerning the gods, right? So you see, Even with Yahushua, what he came and he was not as an ordinary man. He spoke as one in authority. So Abraham went with the intention to be an auditor, to be a man of high credential concerning the powers of heaven and earth. Right? Now these Canaanites, they serve different idols. Right? But Abram had a one-on-one conversation with Yahweh. Right? So let's read on. It says, what they said concerning the gods, designing either to follow them if they had better notions than he, or to convert them into a better way if his own notions prove the truth. And that right there, you know, because I think I'm going to name this lesson painting the picture, right? Painting the picture, right? Because Abraham did nothing different to what we're being instructed to do right now. That's why the scriptures say go in search of our fathers, right? So he went to sit in council with the Egyptians, the scientists, the mathematicians, the astrologers, right? Why I say scientists? Because the word scientist means to know, right? So he went to try their words. It says Sirach 37, right? And it would be a quick second. Let me just find the exact words. I will start at verse 12. But be continually with a godly man, whom thou knowest to keep the commandments of the Lord, whose mind is according to thy mind, and will sorrow thee if thou shalt miscarry. And let the counsel of thine own heart stand, for there is no man more faithful unto thee than it. Right, just now I want to get to the there's a scripture that says, do nothing without counsel. Right? Do nothing without counsel. I was of the opinion it was directly here. Nevertheless, I don't want to waste any more time on it. I'll try to make my videos a little short and right. So verse 16, it says, let reason go before every enterprise, and counsel before every action. Right? Let reason go before every enterprise, and counsel before every action. So he went to see what? He went to counsel with the men of Egypt. Right? Now this account here in the Josephus is just an extended, just like when you read Genesis chapter 1 and they give it the first 6 days of creation, right? There's an extended account in what 2nd Ezra chapter 6, right? The Josephus is an extended account, because Josephus was a historian, Israelite historian that was what on the Roman side, so they call him what, a traitor, right? Right. So it's an extension of Genesis chapter 20. Right, it says Genesis chapter 20, and Abraham journeyed thence towards the south country, and dwelt between Kadesh and Shur, and sojourned in Gerar. And Abraham said unto Sarah his wife, she is my sister. And Abimelech, king of Gerar, sent and took Sarah. And God came to Abimelech in a dream by night, and said unto him, behold, thou art but a dead man for the woman which thou hast taken, for she is a man's wife. Right? So let's read it here in the Jewish antiquities. Right? It says 162. It says, now seeing he was to take Sarah with him, and was afraid of the madness of the Egyptians with regard to women, lest the king should kill him on occasion of his wife's great beauty. Right? I just want to I want to expound on that word madness a little bit, right? So it says madness. You'll catch it right here. I looked it up before. Right? It says senseless folly. Right? It is sheer madness to speak as you do. Senseless folly. Right? So intense excitement or enthusiasm. Right? That's what we're gonna use. Right? It says, lest the king should kill him on occasion of his wife's great beauty, he contrived this device. He pretended to be her brother and directed her to pretend the same. For he said it would be for their benefit. Verse 163. Now, as soon as he came into Egypt, it happened to Abram as he supposed it would. For the fame of his wife's beauty was greatly talked of. For which reason Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, would not be satisfied with what was reported of her, but wanted to see her himself, and was preparing to enjoy her. But power, Yahweh, put a stop to the unjust inclinations by sending upon him a sickness and a rebellion against his government. So I want you to remember that, because the same thing is going to be done here today, right? Because the woman, the bride of the righteous Abraham, right, Sarah, right, was about what Abimelech was about to commit adultery with his wife, right? In other words, he's about to sleep with another man's wife, right, while he's alive. The scripture says a woman, she's bound to her husband while the Lord liveth. Sorry, while her husband liveth. Right? And this is applicable for us as Israelites here in these last days. We who call ourselves Hebrew Israelites and in the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, because what? We are joined unto him. Right? So I'm gonna go now to the go back to Genesis chapter 20 and verse 3. But Yahweh came to Abimelech in a dream by night and said unto him, behold, thou art but a dead man. So you see, Yahweh Shem Yahushua, he gave him a direct threat one time. Is the same thing he did. The same thing he did to Nebuchadnezzar. Many tickle your Alpha-Sim. You understand? And these devils in this last day, what did they do? They created a machine called the CERN, a hadron particle collider, where they entered into dimensions. And what it is said that the hand of the Lord came through and gave them the same warning, right? Because why? Their intention is to what? Is to proceed with the evil plan to mark the whole planet, to mark everyone on the planet by giving them the Karax, right? It says, but thou art a dead man, for the woman which thou hast taken, for the woman which thou hast taken, for she is a man's wife. Right? For she is a man's wife. It says Psalms 58 and 4. Right? Psalms 58 verse 4. Right? Because we the prophets are out here crying out, hearkening out. No, and we know the elites are listening. Right? We know they are watching, because they know who we are, starting with our apostles and our elders come on down, and from their teachers before. Right? Psalms 58 verse 4. Their poison is like the poison of a serpent. They are like a deaf adder that stoppeth the air, which will not hearken to the voice of the charmers, charming never so wisely. It says, break their teeth, O power, in their mouth, break out the great teeth of the young lions, O Yahweh. Right? Break out the teeth. The teeth represents what? The military might, the forces. Right? Let them melt away as waters which run continuously. When he bendeth his bow to shoot his arrows, let them be as cut in pieces. And we know the bow and the arrows goes into what? The silos and the missiles. Right? So they are what? They're like a deaf adder. They're like a snake that's stuck in the air. Snake is not going to be warned. Right? It's not going to hear, hey, move from there. It's not going to hear that. It's going to continue with its intent. Right? To either eat the egg or bite or swallow up something whole. You know? That's what Esau is. He's a deaf adder. So the Most High gave Abimelech a clear threat in the dream, and Abimelech was righteous, and he withheld it himself. Right, so we're gonna go back to Josephus real quick. 164. But Power put a stop to his unjust inclinations by sending upon him a sickness and a rebellion against his government. And when he inquired of the priests how he might be freed from these calamities, they told him that his miserable condition was derived from the wrath of the Most High upon account of his inclinations to molest the stranger's wife. So who's the stranger today? The Israelites, foreigners, right? In all these different lands. Now Esau is making an attempt to mark Israelites all over the world, right? It says verse 165. He then, out of fear, asked Sarah who she was and who it was that she was brought along with her. And when he had found out the truth, he excused himself to Abram, and supposing the woman to be his sister and not his wife, he set his affections on her, as desiring an affinity with him by marrying her, but not as incited by lust to abuse her. He also made him a large present in money, and gave him leave to enter into conversation with the most learned among the Egyptians, from which conversation his virtue and his reputation became more conspicuous than they had been before. Alright, so I'll stop there in the Josephus, and I will just continue a little bit more in the book of Genesis chapter 20, and it says verse 4. It says, and Abimelech had not come near her, and said, Lord, wilt thou slay also a righteous nation? Said he not unto me, she is my sister, and she, even she herself, said, he is my brother. In the integrity of my heart and innocency of my hands have I done this. And God said unto him in a dream, Yea, I know that thou didst this in the integrity of thy heart, for I also withheld thee from sinning against me. Therefore suffered I thee not to touch her. You see, and it all goes to show the man may know his way, and the Most High Yahweh Hashem Yahushai directed his steps, right? Because he didn't want the Pharaoh of Egypt, Abimelech at the time, to be destroyed, right? At that time, Egypt was flourishing, and guess what? The scripture in Daniel chapter 4, I think in verse 11, let me just get that real quick, right? It goes to show that this man was righteous, this Abimelech. You see, they had other kings that was righteous because once they keep the commandments of the Lord, once you're in ordinance with the Lord, you know the Lord is not going to destroy you. At the end of the day, they were appointed by Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. This is the Daniel chapter 4 and 17. This matter is by decree of the watchers. Who's the watchers? Another word for watchers is the prophets or the seers, and by the demand of the word of the Holy One. So this is it. We're calling it out. That's why the Lord say what? If they speak not according to this word, it's because they have no light in them. They come with the message of the Lord, right? It says, to the intent that the living may know who's the living, those that are revived from the dead state of mind, right? So the elect, the hopeful elect, that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will, and setteth up over it the basis of men, right? So at this time, Abimelech was the man that the Most High had set the kingdom in order to, because as it read before, it had famine in the land, and Abram went down into Egypt because what, there was prosperity there. The Spirit of the Lord had to be there in some form of inclination. They was obeying the laws, you know. The priest was able to tell him that, yo, you transgressing, you're about to transgress the Lord, more or less. It's just that it wasn't named the Lord. But it was also understood that sickness was what? Sin or transgression. When you read it between the lines, there's a picture being painted. Equity, one action causes an equal and opposite reaction. The action that you should do is keep the words and the ordinances of the Father above. Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. You see? Now therefore, Genesis 20 and 7. Now therefore restore the man his wife, for he is a prophet, and he shall pray for thee, and thou shalt live. And if thou restore her not, know thou that thou shalt surely die, thou and all that are dying. Therefore Abimelech rose early in the morning, and called all his servants, and told all these things in their ears. And the men were sore afraid. Then Abimelech called Abraham, and said unto him, What hast thou done unto us? And what will... And a matter of fact, I could stop right there, because the point is that Abimelech was righteous because he restored Sarah without committing adultery. He restored Sarah unto Abraham. So the Most High spared them at that time. But Esau is not doing that. Esau is going full speed ahead. The scripture says what? Revelation 12:12. Right? Chariots in the sky. They see and they know that the Lord is near. Revelation 12:12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, which is the elect, the hopeful elect, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he had but a short time. So you see, early on in the week, you had 4 days ago, you had Biden passing what? Mandatory Jabberwockies for what? The federal government, alright? And giving time off that the people could go and get jobs, right? So that the scripture has been fulfilled right there. He's coming down knowing that he had but a short time. So this thing is like is moving lightning fast. The scripture says it's going to be like a woman in travail. First it's going to be what? Far and few, and then it's going to be what? It's going to be closer and harder. And these are the contractions that we are feeling right now. Right? But the end of this man is at hand as well. Right? Because what he's doing is actually transgressing as Abimelech did, but he's not listening. He's not repenting. Right? That's why I read he's what? Like the deaf adder. This is Jeremiah 6:2. I have likened the daughter of Zion to a comely and delicate woman. Right? They prepare to make war against this comely and delicate woman by what? Trying to mark her. Trying to put out all that badge of ownership, putting that Karax. Right? That Karax is a transgression. Because when you go into these words, there's a badge of ownership. We belong to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Right? There are undesirables amongst us that are going to fall because they're just non-repentant. Right? And the Most High ultimately don't desire them. They have to pay for their wicked sins. They were those that amongst those who said, let Yahushai's blood be upon us and our children. You see? Amongst other different charges that the Lord will have against them. Alright? But there's all justice. There's all justice in the sight of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Isaiah 54 and verse 8, it says he was taken from prison. Verse 5, Salakia. But he was wounded for our transgression. Right? He was bruised for our iniquities. Salakia, I'm reading the wrong chapter. Isaiah 54. Isaiah 54 verse 5. For thy maker is thine husbandman, Yahweh of hosts is his name. For I read it over again. For thy maker, right? Israel maker is thine husband. For thy maker is thine husband. Yahweh of hosts is his name, or the Lord of hosts is his name, and thy Redeemer, the Holy One of Israel, the God of the whole earth shall he be called. For Yahweh had called thee as a woman forsaken and grieved in spirit, and a wife of youth when thou was refused, said thy power. For a small moment have I forsaken thee, but with great mercy will I gather thee. In a little wrath I hid my face from thee for a moment, but with everlasting kindness will I have mercy on thee, saith Yahweh thy Redeemer. So you see, so Esau is about to commit adultery, right? And he's going to pay, because we're in the time of judgment. The Lord said that he's going to sit in judgment. He's going to sit in judgment. Esau is not going to get away with it. He's not going to get away with it. He's not going to have the opportunity to do this great transgression and go scot-free. You see, because the scripture says, because sentence against an evil work has been executed speedily. Right? They continue to do wickedly. The scripture says that they think that them such and one as like the most high power. No, they're not. They are men. They're going to get judged for the wicked way of managing this earth and ruling this earth. They have transgressed all the Lord's law. Right? All the Lord's law. That's why there's no prosperity in the land. That's why everything is polluted and corrupted. As in Genesis chapter 11 verse 6. 6 and 11. Sorry, 6 and 11. The whole earth was corrupt. Genesis chapter 6 and 11. It says, the earth was corrupt before the Most High, and the earth was filled with violence. And God looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth. And God said unto Noah, the end of all flesh is come before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them, and behold, I will destroy them with the earth. You see? When you look up the word corrupt, it means to what? To spoil, to ruin, or to what? Decay. That was the first death. Now we're about to experience the second death pursuant to Revelation, which is what? The death through fire. Not through water, but through fire. And that fire is this word right now. And we're giving Esau that word. We're giving Esau that word that yeah, don't touch the Lord's anointed. Do my prophets no harm. Right? Yahweh Shemel is coming back. He's coming back. He's here, matter of fact. He's just waiting for the word from Yahweh. You know, Yahweh is just waiting for the word for Yahweh. Yeah, guess what? His prophets is on the scene. He never do nothing unless he reveal his secrets to his servants, the prophet. And they do what? They come out on the highways and byways and declare. Jeremiah chapter 23 verse 29. Is not my word like fire, saith Yahweh, and like a hammer that breaketh the rock into pieces? Therefore, I'm gonna fuck out stuff right there. Yeah. So the word is out here. So you're getting burned by the word first, which you can't deny now because all the facts coming out, right? All the whistleblowers, every it's coming out. The world has revealed, or it has been revealed, that Esau is the devil that the Bible speaks of, the deceiver, right? The culture vulture, right? And his ways are as death and as hell, as the scripture says. Everything they do. So I didn't realize it was the video got cut, right? So it says Proverbs 6:34. It says, for jealousy is the rage of a man, therefore he will not spare in the day of vengeance. He will not regard ransom, neither will he rest content, though thou givest many gifts. You see, so the Lord is not coming here to reason with Esau and Edom, you know, because they come in with full intent to what? To mark his elect, to mark his people. But that corrects a badge of ownership, which is what? Basically is rape, you know? Is rape. Is the transgression that Abimelech was about to commit. But, you know, the scriptures say these scriptures were written for our learning, but Esau don't want to learn. Esau cannot learn. Right? The scripture call him what? That deaf adder. Right? That stuff in the air. He can't learn this. Right? Or you see what? The scripture say, if thou wert wise, thou would have considered the latter end. How that one shall chase 1,000, two shall put 10,000 to flight. You're going to be destroyed, Esau and Edom. Right? So the spirit and power Yahweh Shai say what? He not coming and meet thee as a man. He not coming and meet thee as a man. He's coming to what? He's going to stir up that spirit of jealousy. Isaiah 42:13. The Lord shall go forth as a mighty man. He shall stir up jealousy as like a man of war. He coming in a warlike spirit, but with that rage of jealousy. He shall cry, yea, roar. He shall prevail against his enemies. I have long time holding my peace. I have been still and refrained myself. Now will I cry like a travailing woman. I will destroy and devour at once. I will make waste mountains and hills, Esau's rulership, the governments, and dry up all their herbs. And I will make the rivers islands, and I will dry up the pools. Right? Now Shai coming to what? He coming to bring that fire, man, bring that heat, right? In many different forms, right? He coming in the form of the missiles, and he also coming in the form of the lasers from the chariots. In Nahum chapter 1 verse 2, the power is jealous, and the Lord revengeth. The Lord revengeth and is furious, and the Lord will take vengeance on his adversaries and reserveth wrath for his enemies. Right? Esau and Edom. Right? He reserved his wrath for his enemies. These heathen nation, Moab, Ammon, Ham. You know? Zephaniah chapter 1 verse 18. Right? Neither the silver nor the gold shall be able to deliver them in the day. It says so in what? In Proverbs, you know. He ain't gonna take no bribe, he ain't gonna take nothing, he had no reasoning. It says the wrath of in the day of the Lord's wrath, but the whole land shall be devoured by the fire of his jealousy, for he shall make even a speedy riddance of all them that dwell in the land. It's the day of that judgment, man. Zephaniah 3 and 8. Therefore wait ye upon me, saith Yahweh, until the day that I rise up to the prey, for my determination is to gather the nations, that I may assemble the kingdoms to pour upon them mine indignation. So World War III must happen. They're going to be gathered, the army is going to be coming together to fight one another, and he's just going to make one speedy riddance. You see? That I may assemble the kingdoms to pour upon them mine indignation, even on my fierce anger upon all the earth shall be devoured with the fire of my jealousy. Right? Is Isaiah 31. Isaiah 31 verse 4. It says, For thus saith Yahweh thus had Yahweh spoken unto me, like as a lion and a young lion roaring on his prey, when the multitude of the shepherds called forth against him, he will not be afraid of their voice. Yeah, it's not no old lion as prophesied in Genesis 49. Right? He not no old lion crouched down, have no spirit in him. He coming as a young lion in that new spiritual body. Right? With that fearless, right? Spirit. Right? It says, he will not be afraid of their voices, no, the multitude of the armies, the missiles, the submarines, the lasers, and all the BS that they have, that they think that they have power, nor abase himself for the noise of them. So shall the Lord of hosts come down to fight for Mount Zion, and for the hill thereof. Right? As birds flying, so will the Lord of hosts defend Jerusalem. Defending also, he will deliver it, and passing over, he will preserve it. Right? Yahweh Shemel coming on a mission to destroy these nations of the face of the earth, right? And set up his the horn of his salvation, Yahweh Shai himself. This is Hosea 11 verse 10. It says, they shall walk after Yahweh, he shall roar like a lion. When he shall roar, then I'm a fact. Let me start at verse 9. I will select here. Verse 10. Then they shall walk after the Lord, he shall roar like a lion. When he shall roar, then the children shall tremble from the west. They shall tremble as a bird out of Egypt, and as a dove out of the land of Assyria. And I will place them in their houses, saith Yahweh. Right? This is Joel chapter 3 and verse 16. It says, and So Joel 3 and 16. So Amos chapter 1 verse 2. This is Amos chapter 1 verse 2. It says, and he said, the Lord will roar from Zion and utter his voice from Jerusalem, and the habitations of the shepherd shall mourn, and the top of Carmel shall wither. Thus say the Lord, for 3 transgressions of Damascus, and for 4 I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because they have threshed Gilead and threshing with the threshing instrument. I will send fire unto the house of Hazad, and which shall devour the palaces of Ben-Hadad. Verse 11. Thus saith Yahweh, for the transgression of Edom, and for 4 I will not turn away the punishment thereof, because he did pursue his brother with the sword, and did cast off all pity, and his anger did take perpetually, and he kept his wrath forever. Right? So the Most High, yeah, he's going to judge Esau and Edom, right? For the main reason that he's about to mark, put that badge of old ownership, rape the nation of Israel, and also for the past transgressions which he transgressed. There's laws and judgment. Whereas if you steal a man and he be found in your captivity, you should be put to death. So there's many. The scripture says the land can only be cleansed from the blood of them who shed the blood. They shed Israelite blood to build America and these different places that are provinces of America, aka Babylon the Great. Right? 2 Thessalonians chapter 1 verse 16 is a righteous thing for the Most High to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you. So that tribulation is coming onto the land, or is actually here, but it's only going to get worse and worse. Right? So that will end this lesson here. I'll give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashim, Yahushai, Ba'ashim, Kakadash, the blood and self apostles and that is a great millstone. Citation to the men and brethren in this work in sincerity and in truth. Shalom.